everybody, Roxabox90 here with another top 10 EDH Commander card countdown. So you guys got the likes and I got the video. We have the top 10 lands in EDH. So this topic is a little more difficult, even more I think than colorless, because land bases are so difficult to define what makes the best land and why. So my list, I pretty much divided the lands that are more based on a color are in the back towards the 10, and the ones that are even more universal are the ones that are on the front end of the list. And we have the same criteria that it needs to be really good in monocolor, but also be really good in multicolor and of course 1v1 and multiplayer. So we'll start out number 10 with Volrath Stronghold and Academy Ruins, putting them side by side because they're pretty much the same card, except that Volrath Stronghold is for black and it gives you back a creature on top of your deck, and Academy Ruins gives you an artifact on top of your deck. Depends on the person and the deck, but if you're running black or blue, whether mono or anything else, you're probably running these lands. Volrath Stronghold is my personal favorite of the two because creatures are more likely to be run in the most number of EDH decks, and it's more useful to be able to get them back generally than artifacts. So that's my personal opinion, but really they're both very close. Number 9, we have Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth with Cabal Coffers as the second place for the slot because Urborg is insane. And any deck that can run a swamp, this card can fit in. It makes all your lands able to tap for swamps. It makes them count as swamps for various spells and abilities. And the fact that it fixes your black color completely is itself tapping for black. Kind of without question, I think more universal than Cabal Coffers, although no one can deny Cabal Coffers is useful even in up to 3-color decks. Or I would say 5-color decks, Cabal Coffers really is not as good as Tomb of Yawgmoth, but Tomb of Yawgmoth, I would say, could even be considered for 5 colors. So that's why it's number 9 for me. Number 8, we have Gaia's Cradle. Gaia's Cradle only taps for green mana, and it's a green mana symbol. So your deck, your commander has to be green, which puts it towards the back of the list already because it's limited by your color. Gaia's Cradle, of course, is insane. It taps, gives you 1 green for each creature you control. So most decks have at least a couple of creatures in play at any given time. And this card gives you lots of mana for that. It's a huge generator. Of course, in specific builds, it's insane, but it's really good in just about any deck running green. If it wasn't so expensive, everyone would run it. Great card, number 8. Number 7, we have Reliquary Tower. Now we're kind of hitting the more universal. Reliquary Tower, a lot of people say this card should be in every deck. I honestly don't agree. If your deck is not consistently having a larger than 7 hand size, you really don't need it. It only taps for a colorless and doesn't help any of your other colors. So its ability is really narrow in the sense that you want it for decks that have a larger than 7 hand size. That being said, many decks try to have that in all colors. So for me, Reliquary Tower is a fairly universal card. It's used in many, many decks. My personal opinion is not to use it in every deck because it should be for ones that draw a lot more than others, but it sees play pretty much everywhere, and I think it is a fantastic land card. Number 6, we have Cavern of Souls and Bujiju. Again, it's very close because they do slightly different things. Bujiju in general is a worse land because it costs you 2 life, and it also comes into play tapped. But the fact that you can make the majority of your instant sorcery spells uncounterable is a really big deal. That being said, I still feel that Cavern of Souls is better because it fits into just about any deck. And though it is, of course, insane for Voltron, it is really good in Tribal, or even if you're just running a deck and you know your bombs are going to be a certain type, making them uncounterable mid to late game is a big deal. Taps for a colorless so it doesn't lock you down in any way. Great card. I would put that at number 6. Number 5, we have Maze of Ith. This card definitely belongs on the list, but it's one of the weakest in the sense that it doesn't give you any mana. Though its effect is insane, you can prevent damage from just about any attacking creature. It's of course fantastic against Voltron, it's fantastic against large attacking creatures, prevents Eldrazi. It's a really powerful card. It doesn't require any color, so it can go into any deck, but it doesn't tap for a mana, which is a really big deal. So I would say Maze of Ith, while insane and sees play, it's not quite the top land card. Number 4, we have Ancient Tomb and Temple of the False Gods. Of course, Ancient Tomb I would say is the better card, but Temple sees probably a little more play because it's a little more budget. Both are fantastic lands. They both add 2 colorless to your mana pool from a land source. Ancient Tomb, you lose life for using its ability, but of course that doesn't matter as much, though it does matter more in 1v1. Generally, it's not such a big deal, and that's its main drawback. Temple of the False Gods, on the other hand, you need to have a certain number of lands in play, which means that it doesn't really become useful until generally mid-game, especially in 1v1, but even in multiplayer, by the time you get to turn 4 and 4-5, it's already hitting the mid-game stride, even though in the late game, many times Commander goes on much longer and still turn 4-5, 6, and that's really when Temple of False Gods, even if you get it out early, can first activate. So I would say Ancient Tomb is better in my opinion. Top 3, number 3, we have Vesuva and Thespian Stage. There's a lot more of these duels because there are multiple lands that fit into different criteria. Vesuva, I personally think, is better because it hits play tapped, true, but that's all you need to do. It becomes the copy of a land on the field. And as you see, the lands in EDH are pretty insane, so this card gives you access to just about any land that's on the field. You get a copy of it. Really powerful. Thespian Stage costs 2 mana. You have to tap itself to become the copy, but it's flexible in that you can take multiple land types. If someone plays Cabal Coffers, you take that, then it dies, and someone plays a Gaia's Cradle, you can switch to that. So it's very flexible, very useful, but Vesuva, I would personally say, is just a little better in the fact that you don't have to wait extra turns to do it, and you don't have to wait. You're still waiting the full turn on Thespian Stage because it has to be tapped. So in my opinion, Vesuva is the stronger card generally. Number 2, we have Command Tower. Yes, I know some people were like, why isn't Command Tower number 1? But Command Tower and Opal Palace, obviously I think Command Tower is better, but they're both highly used cards. They can be used in just about every deck. But Command Tower in monocolor is just not as powerful generally as a basic land. It really doesn't do much. It just taps for the one color. Of course, in multicolor decks, it's insane. Any multicolor deck, it's insane and probably should be run. And Opal Palace is just a little more towards your commander, so it's more Voltron oriented. If you're not running Voltron, Opal Palace is not exactly the best card to run. I would personally take Command Tower over Opal Palace, unless I really want to use my commander heavily. So Command Tower is my pick for number 2. Number 1, drum roll please. Strip Mine. Yes, I said it. Strip Mine is my number 1 land in EDH. Every deck I have, every deck I've built, every deck I plan to build will likely run this card because it taps for colorless, so you get your land, but most importantly, it is the most powerful land destruction land in terms of use. While things like Dust Bowl can be used multiple times, it does have a high drawback. Strip Mine destroys any land, not non-basic, any land. You tap it to take their Gaia's Cradle, to destroy their Cabal Coffers, to destroy their Maze of Ith, their Ancient Tomb, their Vesuva, their Cavernous Souls, their Reliquary Tower, their you name it. All the lands on this list are susceptible to this one card. And the fact that it hits play untapped, taps to destroy, it trades itself for a better card, gives you the colorless you need. It can be used in literally every deck and probably should be considered for every single deck. It's out of this world. And that's what I say. Strip Mine is number 1 land. So this is my top 10 list. Thanks to everybody for liking the video, getting the colorless video up in likes so we could get this video out and going. Let me know what you guys think about my list. Put it down below. Going forward, I'm thinking about doing top guild cards in terms of EDH Commander, but I don't really know which one to pick from. So after you hit the like button and subscribe, go down to the comment section, let me know what you think about my list, and tell me which guild you would want me to start with in the next 10. Let me know what you guys think about everything, and as always, Roxabox90 signing out. I'll see you guys next time.